What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Trading Learning 101. It's June 3rd, a little after 11 a.m. We got ABIO popping off right now. I just wanted to keep an eye on this for a second, going from $5.80 all the way up to a high of almost $9. We were literally just talking about this stock in the weekend market recap. Hopefully everybody's having a great trading day. Me personally, this morning, pre-market, it was looking really great pre-market. We had GNC popping up, just squeezing shorts. We're going to go over that. A lot of stocks were popping off, and then it seemed like when the market opened, all these stocks were popping up, and then they were just falling harder. So it was really hard to trade today. I only took one trade. I took a trade on GNC, and I took a $100 loss on it. We'll go over that. I just want to see what ABIO does right here. I feel like this could get to go because there really wasn't any opportunities today in the market, and I'm watching ABIO. If it gets over 8, this thing could explode back up to 850 and test the day high. But let's pull over the daily chart real quick here on ABIO. We were just talking about this, like I said, this big supernova play right here when it ran from 5 all the way up to $20. Pulled back, bounced off of 10, ripped back up to 18, and then from there it just had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 straight, pretty much, red days in a row. All these red days right here. And remember what I said in the past. It's good to keep a stock on watch when it has all this tension just going down and 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 down. It's going to act just like a rubber band. It's putting tension on the stock, and then its first green day, that's when you could see a real big snap and pop to the upside. And that's what we got today on ABIO. You'll see this happen a lot, especially with low float stocks. Low float stocks love doing that. And look what happened. There was no volume. All right here on it, all right here. It was just slowly but surely declining and declining. Opens up today, gets a little bit of volume right here at the open. Sells down to 550, a mental area. And from that 550, just slowly but surely, just started creeping its way on up to the $6 line right here, a mental area. Creeps its way on up, and then a surge of volume right here attacks it. And that's when it just exploded from 6, runs all the way up to 750, runs into a halt, reopens just below $8, and then rips all the way up to almost $9. Very awesome play on this. But this still could pop over $8 right now, but you got to think, we're heading into lunch hours. Traders make their money or they take their loss, and then they call it a day. They go to lunch. The big money goes to lunch. So this very well could, break $8 and retest 850 again. But from my experience, after 11, as we approach lunch hours, the strength, you're not really going to see it there. And you'll see a stock quickly rip up and then quickly rip right back down. So you got to be careful. You can't get greedy in lunch hours and expect the stock just to keep running and running and running. But ABIO is a super, super low float. Let's see what the float is. Yeah, ABIO is going. I just want to see what the float is on ABIO. The float is 1.4 million. So that's a super, super low float. It's not going to take much volume for a low float like this to get it going. Pretty much the lower the float, the bigger the rip. That's why I love playing low float stocks. That's when you study emotions and psychology, you can really take advantage of it. But I totally missed this move right here. I could not touch it. I've been burnt so many times in the past. When a stock runs up from 6 all the way up to 8, you expect somewhat of a pullback on it. That's what I was hoping for on it, a pullback. And the volume was super light as well. When it had this big rip right here, volume was just crossing over, I think, 125,000. But after it reopened from that halt at 8, it just continued going and shooting up. Me personally as a trader, I can't chase something like that. When something rips up $1, $2 like that, and then it reopens from a halt, it's very, very volatile. This thing could drop easily $1. And if you jump in with 500 shares or 1,000 shares, and this rips down $1, a low float stock, you could really, really hurt your account. But this was a nice little pullback right here. Tops out at $9, pulls back all the way. It tried getting a bounce here at 8, and then it blew through 8. And look at how quickly from 8 to 8.50 it dropped. A 50-cent move, mental area 750, around the same area where it first got halted, bounces right off of 750 and moves its way on up to 8. People are going to start chasing it, moves its way over 8, and look it, we're already testing 850 again. Great move on ABIO. I totally missed this, and I covered it in the weekend recap. This thing very well could touch $9 again, but $9 is going to be a strong resistance for it because that's where the 200-day moving average is. You can see it right here on the daily. See this red line right here? And you see how the wick on that candle just touched that red 200-day moving average? Traders look at these levels and moving averages on the daily for support and resistance levels. And then if it gets through 9, it's going to run up to the 300-day moving average, which is at 935. But volume is starting to pump in through this. Let's see. ABIO already at 1.4 million in volume. So volume still is pumping into this stock for sure. Awesome move on ABIO. And this popped off. Look at right where it popped off too. At around 10:30. Remember what I said in the past, and if you watch all my market recap videos, I always say it at around 10:30. If there's nothing going on in the market and it's slow, it's like clockwork. Most of the time at 10:30, you're going to see a low float stock rip to the upside because there's a low float chat room out there. A low float chat room that needs to make money and wants to make money when there's nothing going on in the market, they're all going to pump up a stock. And then when they pump up a stock, it's going to go off on everybody and their mother's scanners, and it's going to attract volume to the stock. They're all going to buy it. It's going to push up the original chat room who bought it, all right here, up into profits, up into here. And then that's when everybody starts to dump it, and then the stock crashes back to the downside. It's basic Emotions and psychology. That's why I study psychology and emotions so much. But what else did we have gapping up this morning? GNCA. Look at this thing. Last Friday, this went from $4.50 all the way up to a high of $8.50. Formed a nice tight wedge right here and then fell below it. And then you know what probably happened going into the weekend? Shorts piled in on it, shorted the heck out of it. Monday morning it gaps up. This gapped up all the way to a high of $12. From $5.50 to $12. That's an awesome move. Zoom in on this. This just kept going and going and going pre-market. Look at this move up right here. Had a nice little wedge right here. Kept popping up. A micro pullback right here is what I call it. Kept popping up, popping up, popping up, popping up. Topped out here at $12. Pulled back all the way down here to around, what was this level it pulled back to? It was like $10, I want to, $10.50. This pulled back all the way to $10.50. Kind of ironic how a lot of these stocks, when they run up and they pull back, they most of the time pull back to mental areas. $10.50, $8, $7.50. It's like 50 cents and whole dollar numbers. You'll see a lot of these stocks pull back to. Pulls back to $10.50 here, pops right back up to $11.50 right here. Right when we're going into the open, this was getting tighter and tighter and tighter. And then from $11.50, it just dropped all the way down here to $9.50. $9.50 back up to old support right there, $10.75. I jumped in on this right before the open with just 100 shares. I said, hey, maybe this will do a move like BPTH did, where it had a huge gap up, and right at the open, it just got squeezed and it ran from, what was it, $18 all the way up to, I think it was like $30 before it pulled back to 26, and then it ran up to $73. But I just want to throw in 100 shares. Maybe it would have gotten a nice good squeeze, really big move to the upside, and it didn't happen. It kept wanting to run up to $11.50 here and kept hitting it and running back down to $10. I just said screw it and got out of it with a $100 loss, and I'm thankful that I did, because this thing just completely fell off. Just sold off, and now it's looking like it's wanting a U-shape here at $8.50 up to this $9.25 area. But I was watching this. There's too much going on with this thing. Every time it will break above 9, it'll quickly rip up to $9.25, and then they'll rip it all the way back down to $8.50. And then it'll consolidate, move up to 9, and then they'll rip it right back down to $8.50. And then it'll start to move up again. Look at $9. They'll rip it right back down to $8.50. Rip moves up again. Same thing. Now it's hitting $9.25 again. From here, it could break to the upside, or it could do what it's been doing, and they'll rip it right back down to $8.50. GNCA, it's a very, very weird moving stock. I didn't feel comfortable with it. That's why I quit right there. I took my loss. I'm done for the day. And that's another thing you got to keep in mind. When you take a loss, you got to have that discipline to be done. Tomorrow's always a new day, because that $100 loss could turn into a $300 loss. and then a $500 loss, and then a $1,000 loss, because you're trying to play catch up and get back what you lost, and your emotions are just everywhere. So you gotta have that discipline, and I try to stick to my rule. My first trade, if it's a loss, I try to be done for the day. I don't want to take any more trades. If I got a winner and it's a good winner, then I'm good. If it's a little winner, I'll try to build up on that little winner to get more out of the day with it. And then we also had ATXI. ATXI getting a rip from $5.50 all the way up to $8 and then crashing all the way back down. There was one quick opportunity on this. You could see here all Friday there was no volume on this thing whatsoever. And then it just started just gapping up pre-market right here, as you can see. We'll zoom in on this. Right at the open, from 550s, rips all the way up to 7, runs into a halt, opens back up, rips up to almost 8, and then sells all the way down below the VWAP. It tried getting a bounce here at 650, and then continued to sell all the way down just below $6. Just below $6, this bounced at 575 and got a nice bounce all the way up to 650. That would have been a good bounce play right there. Comes back down to 650 again. Gets another nice bounce up to 625. Back down to 675 or 575, and slowly grinds its way up to 6. So you got to think of it almost in a way it's like a basketball. When a basketball gets a big shot up and comes down like that, it's going to get a bounce, come back down to the ground, bounce again, come back down to the ground, bounce again, till it putters out. You see how it did that? This is the ground right here at 575. It got its first initial big bounce and just puttered out. And that's what traders do. They try, this 575 is the ground. Every time it came down to the ground, they bought it, sold into the pop. Comes back down to the ground, bought it, sold into the pop. Comes back down to the ground, bought it, slow grind up here, up to 6, sold into the pop. And then now it's just slowly but surely losing volume. And that's why you'll see these form a lot of wedges, connecting the lower highs with a straight line as support. Always think of it as a basketball, bouncing and losing momentum. And then when it gets to the end of the pattern, that's when you could see it either surge to the downside or surge to the upside. It could go either way. And then next up, OTLK. OTLK gets a big gap up from yesterday's close at around 240 all the way up to a high of just over $3. This pulls all the way back to 280, back up to 3, and since the market opened, this was just a turd and just fell all the way down here to 260 and popping up to 275. Not really much range on it. Was keeping it on watch to see if it could ever reclaim the VWAP at 280s and maybe retest 3, but it's just not doing anything. And then CTRV. We've covered this before. This just did a 1 for 70 reverse split. These reverse splits was the theme last year. Whenever a low float stock did a reverse split, a lot of them exploded to the upside. This is a very risky and volatile stock. The volume on it today is only 230,000. But look at this. It opens up here at 750, sells all the way down, touches 550, and then rips all the way back up to 870. That's a $3 move to the upside, and then falls from 870 all the way down to 750, and then all the way down to 650, all the way down to 6, bounces right back up to the VWAP there at 720. Very, very risky play, no volume. And the only one that played this was Deckmar Trades. If you follow Deckmar Trades on Twitter, you'll see him post about it. This is how I find these low float pump and dumps. Deckmar Trades, Warrior Trading. There's a couple, Mad Ass Trader. There's a few pump and dump chat rooms out there that you're going to want to follow. Going back to ABIO, look at that. Right back up to 850 again. See how it does that with these low floats? Bounces at 750, moves up to $8, tops out at 850, pulls back right here to $8, and from 8 pops back up to 850. That's A+ moves right there to me. When a stock is moving like this and pulling back to key levels like that, whole dollar levels, 750, $8. It's a low float stock. This is easy to play for me. And this is when you could easily tell what's going on. This is getting really, really tight. This is forming ascending wedge. But ascending wedge, look at it, here it goes. 850, 860s. We are going into lunch hours. It's 11:30. It might not have the strength to push up. But this has been red for the past 15 days. Look at that. That's why you always want to try to take profits when it's up like that, because it could quickly be at 880 and then you blink your eye for 1 second and it's back down to $8. These low floats can be crazy. As soon as they get any type of red momentum, emotions click with traders and they want to get out. And that's when they'll all market order sell, and you'll just see a death candle on it because people are panicking and they want to get out on it. You always want to take profits, always. I know sometimes you want to have that patience to hold on to it, but you got to tell yourself you're a professional profit taker. You want to cut those losses and keep them as small as possible. Move on to the next trade. Take those profits. And I know it sucks when you're under PDT rule, but it really messes with your emotions when you're under PDT. It really does. But when you're able to trade as much as you want, you got to worry about over trading. But when you're not under PDT, you can very well stick to your rules better, knowing that you can re-enter if you want. I've been under PDT my first 2 years, and I highly recommend it for people just starting out until they understand how the market works. I've gotten in on plays where a stock spiked huge, it pulled back, I would get in, and then it would fall below where I got in. I'd cut my loss. And then later on, it just would explode and go supernova, parabolic, up $10, $15, $20 from where I bought it. And it would really mess with me. And it really can mess with your psychology and your emotions. And then you tell yourself, I'm not going to miss the next one. And then you're looking at swinging it at the end of the day because your emotions are all wound up and you took a loss and this thing exploded, and you're not thinking about all the risk. You're thinking about all the rewards and all the rewards that you just missed. And then you take a swing on it, and then the next day the company does an offering and it gaps down $4 and you just blew up your account. It's all mental. But ABIO is holding on pretty strong. But like I said, this is forming an ascending wedge right here, forming higher lows up to resistance here. $9 is going to be tough resistance for this. And with a low float stock like this at 1.25 million, the price could rip. You gotta be careful. If you're market ordering in and not limit ordering in, and if you're trying to buy when it has momentum, you could get screwed really hard. If you're trying to market order in when it's at resistance, 850, and you market order in and it breaks through that resistance, this thing could shoot up so fast to $9 and they'll fill you at $9. And then it'll rip back down to old resistance was, and you'd be down 50 cents just like that. But I hope you guys are all having a great trading day. I'm done for the day. ABIO is going to do what it's going to do. I'm not going to get FOMO and chase after this. I took my $100 loss for the day. I always want to try to keep it as small as possible and always look forward to the next day. Learn from my mistake today and move on. I only traded GNCA, and to me, I traded it pretty stupidly. I got FOMO here right before the open, not thinking, hey, this is up from $5.50 all the way up to $12. It was pulling back and forming a nice pattern here with higher lows, but you got to look. You know, people are going to want to take profits. This opened up and sold off, and it just goes to show I still get FOMO at times. When I see a big move like this pre-market, I get excited and I want to jump in and make money like everybody else. But I didn't go balls to the wall with it. I don't really jump in really huge because I've burnt myself before and blew up an account trying to go balls to the wall all in on a trade right at the open for it to open up and rip down $1.50, $2 and just destroy my account. It's not worth it. So that's why I just took a little 100 shares, and look at right when it opened from 11, it ripped all the way down to 10, below 10, all the way down to 974. So $1.25 downfall. So I just got out of it and watched it. It just slowly puttered off. A lot of games were going on with it on the level 2. It seemed like every time it wanted to try to move up, it would just run into a ceiling of sellers. And you would see buying going through on the tape, but they just could not get through the ask. ATXI really didn't give much of a opportunity. It's just, like I said, a lot of stocks today this morning popped up real big, and then dropped even harder. Tomorrow's always a new day. But real quick, going over the market's having a nice rebound today. It was looking like this morning the futures were gapping down a little bit, but right when the market was about to open, it was able to reclaim, and it was, I would say it was opened mix with the futures. And then we got the SPY right here. We got a quick rip up from 275 all the way up to 276, and then it had this big sell-off all the way down to 274, and then it comes right back up and makes a new high on the day here at 276.50. So it's pretty choppy right now in the market. It's trying to have a green day. We're entering into the second half of the day here. It's going to be interesting to see how the SPY closes. I would like to try to see this close at the upper part of its range. And then we got the Qs having this big sell-off down right here, and it's just hanging around the VWAP as we speak right now. It is red on the day so far, so hopefully it's able to claim and hold this VWAP and work its way on up past 173. The VIX, I keep clicking on that. The VIX this morning just started grinding up from 18 all the way up to 19. It was looking like it was going to push up to 20, but after it topped out here at 19, it just slowly fell all the way back down to 18. Nice move this morning on the TVIX from 2480 all the way up to 2572, pulled back to 2530s, and then rips all the way up to just over 26, and then just sold all the way back down. I do like how this bottomed right here and ripped all the way up. It found somewhat resistance right here from the open, pushed up through it, sold all the way back down, and it is now bouncing at the day low and pushing right up to the VWAP right here. So from 2480 up to 2520, a nice little 40 cents right there. But I love playing ETFs. ETFs are fun to play. I should have paid a little bit more attention to it this morning, but my attention was strictly on GNCA. I was waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting for this thing to reverse, and it just never came. But ABIO is still hanging around, getting tighter and tighter. This thing could explode to the upside, or it could drop off. Anything could happen with it. I think it's a really high-risk play. That's my opinion, though. But again, I hope you guys are all having a great trading day. If you made money, that's awesome. If you took a loss, hopefully you guys were able to keep it small. And always tell yourself, tomorrow's a new day. Don't force trades when the market is not giving you really opportunities. Today, we really didn't get any opportunities in small cap land till around 10:30. And look what happened. ABIO. So sometimes it just takes time for the market to give you an opportunity. But that's going to wrap it up for this market recap, guys. Again, it's Monday. It's a new month. Remember, the first week of a new month, you want to try to just observe the market to see if any patterns changed, any algos changed, any new algos. see if there's any patterns that keep happening this week. That's really important to watch out for that stuff. And just observe the market. What's the strength of the market? But that's going to wrap it up for this one, guys. Hopefully you guys had a great day, like I said. If you didn't trade, sometimes no trade is the best trade. And look at ABIO. That's how fast these low floats can rip. It was at 860, and then it rips all the way down to 810, just like that. You got to be careful with low floats. You could really get burnt if you don't know what you're doing. And I've been there, trust me. I think that's all I wanted to talk about. ELTK just selling off today. And SOLY, real quick, finally broke below $17. I said it in the weekly recap. $17 was the bottom line that has to hold. If it breaks below 17, it's going to be going into the back side of its move. This set up so nicely. It was like a movie and how dramatic this was. This opened up here at 1875, and look at right here, it formed a wedge. Right at 17, that area right there, formed a nice wedge, descending wedge at 1725. And I'm watching this, and like I said, this set up just like a dramatic movie. This is why I love the stock market. This is just so awesome. So 17 was that line that I said it has to hold before. If it doesn't hold, we're going to go into the back side of the move. This formed a nice wedge right here, and then look at that big surge candle right there. All the way down below 17. Sold off all the way down to almost 16 with that wick right here. Pops right back up, and now look at what's resistance. $17. All right here. And now this is just slowly selling off down to 16. Sure, this could pop back up to 17 again from 16, but it's just best to leave it alone and let it do what it's got to do. Let it set up for the future. Let it do pretty much what ABIO did. And this is what I like to look for. Let me find it. I just keep going on and on and on and on. But I love talking about the market. Let it do pretty much what ABIO did. It had its move to the upside. Let it sell off. Look at all these consecutive red candles here. The more, the better. Just like a rubber band. And then snap. Rips right up. So, this is a playbook play right here in the daily recap that you could add to your playbook. The rubber band play. But I just wanted to point that out to you guys on Soli. Maybe this could come all the way down here to 14. I'm liking 14 as its next level. But we're just going to have to let it sell off and do what it's got to do. No need to force trades. But that's going to wrap it up for this recap, guys. Stay safe out there. See you guys all tomorrow. And until next time, have that patience, have that discipline, and study, study, study. All right, later, everyone.